Hello again after the break. We will now welcome Carol Patterson, who's our head of school for professional learning and commercial development. And Carol will be briefly talking about our training offer and how it can benefit your business. Over to you, Carol.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here today in person, and hello, everybody that's online as well. I guess the weather maybe kept some of you at home, which is unfortunate, but hey ho, it's just the way it goes in Scotland. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about the FWDF fund from the perspective of how we work with employers to make sure that you're getting the right course at the right level that's really going to target your needs, your business needs. Okay, so we'll just click on to the next slide. I'm a bit worried about this here because I can't find a pocket to stick it in, so I don't want to walk anywhere in case it ends up on the ground. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the bullet points on here. We are very good at working alongside the business development team, who are usually the people that you'll have the first contact with. They'll reaching out to you. It's really because of them that we're here today to create this awareness of the fund and how you can access it. And once they've hooked you in and got your interest, that's when you then link up with us and my team over there, some of my team over there. So we are the ones that actually get the learning and training to you, and we work with you to make sure that we're identifying the exact needs that feed into your organizational objectives. And we do this by face-to-face meetings or Teams meetings, and we ask questions. We ask lots of questions, and we hope we listen very well to the answers, and we ask some more questions, and we really get to understand the organisation and what's going on. And sometimes it transpires that what you've looked at in our lovely brochure is not actually basically what you need sometimes, not always, and we can then maybe sort of point you in the right direction, you know, because of our years of experience in doing this, to something that's probably going to target your needs better. So we've got a lot of experience of doing that, and we've got a lot of patience to do this properly, because it's important that you're not just putting delegates onto a course that you think might work. And it doesn't really, you know, hit the spot. We really want to get the right course for you guys out there to make a difference to your organisation overall. We're very responsive, we're very agile. In fact, I'm going to go on to the next slide here. I just put this together the other night. I thought I was quite proud of it, actually, my word cloud. But you'll see that there's a couple of words really stand out here: adaptable, flexible, and agile. And I really think that that's what we are as a college. Because we can really fit in with your needs. As you heard from Tracy, you know, one of our biggest clients, Lothian Buses, we've worked with them to make sure that the training really is at the right level, at the right time, in the right place, and through the right mode as well. So, you know, we can work with you to do that. We do have scheduled courses as well. And you know, you can access our scheduled courses through the fund as well. So we run CMI courses, we run AAT courses, CIM courses, CIPD courses. Have I missed anything out? ILM, yes. So mainly HR and leadership and management and accountancy. So they run scheduled courses during the college terms, or semesters as we call them. And you can be infilled into these individually. Now, they're not flexible because they run at set times, usually twice a year, starting in September and starting in January. But out with that, we can run closed groups of ILM courses or other qualification courses, CMI, as you need it, if you have enough people. And as Steve said earlier, if there's not enough of a workforce to come on a bespoke closed course, then we can look to infill you with other companies. So there's the benefits of having a closed group course for your organisation, but there's also benefits of filling into other groups. We've got a group at the moment on a Friday, which is a mixed group of people. And the feedback that we've been getting as we're coming to the end of this CMI course is that it's been great working with people from lots of different sectors, because we have third sector, public, private delegates all in this course. And the conversations that we're having online are so rich, and they're gaining so much from it. And they're able to take away from the learning, from the workshops, and they're able to apply the practice, and they come back 2 weeks. It's every 2 weeks we have a workshop, and they come back and they share their success with us, and they sometimes share their failures, and they reflect on how they, you know, things could have been done differently. So we can offer these from levels 3. Now this level 3 QCF equates to SCQF 6. Okay, so it can get a bit confusing. It's like 2 different languages going on. So if it's the Scottish qualifications framework, you usually just add 3 or 4 to it. So if it's SCQF, we can do them at level 6, 8, 9, and 11. That's right up to master's level. Okay. Let me just check I've covered everything here. Yeah, one of the other things I was going to say is, if you're bringing a group of colleagues onto a course, or you're wanting a group of colleagues to come onto a course, we always think it's really good if we can meet those delegates before they're actually signed up, okay? Because sometimes they don't know what they're getting into. It's quite a commitment, some of these courses, in terms of learning. And also, you know, because they are academic qualifications, you do have to do an assessment at the end of each unit, and not all companies are able to give their delegates remission from their work to complete these assessments. So they're trying to juggle work, families, you know, and trying to write an assessment as well. So we like to gather the delegates together before they're signed up or registered with the awarding body, to just basically do a Q&A with them, an informal Q&A, and so that we can tell them a little bit about the learning experience, and we can also talk them through, you know, what's expected of them in terms of commitment, weekly, monthly, whatever, and the timescales as well. And obviously the rewards of having completed that type of qualification, because in effect, the company is gaining from it, but also the employees are really gaining from it as well, because they're taking that qualification and they're keeping it. It's on their CV forever, you know. So hopefully you don't lose them, but you know, if they were to move on, they're taking that with them. You're taking that qualification with them. So I just really want to emphasize, you know, just how agile and how flexible we are. As Steve said, you know, where no accreditation is required, we've got a really good track record of developing short courses. Now, we don't just pull them off a shelf. We have a bank of courses which we have an overview for, but we like to sit down with the employer and actually find out exactly what they want within that course. You know, what learning outcomes do you want to achieve is the questions that we will ask, and that is the importance, and we will build the course around that, around those objectives, so that we're really targeting exactly what it is that you're wanting. So we can do them online, we can do them via Teams, we can do them via Zoom, or we can go and work with employers within premises, or we can also use one of the 4 campuses. You know, we've got space in the 4 campuses as well. I think a mixture of both works quite well. What doesn't work is when people are in work and they're signed up to an online course, they're not doing it from their home space. That can be very tricky, we've found. So in that case, we would probably suggest if they're not being released from their work and they're having to log in from their work, then it's probably better to do a face-to-face course, because what we've had in the past is 3 people sharing a computer, and it gets a bit messy. People are wandering about in the background, etc. So I really do think that the online approach has worked extremely well, you know, just to keep things going along. And, you know, we've had a lot of great feedback. And the other good thing is companies that have staff based across Scotland can come to these courses. You don't have to be located in Edinburgh anymore. So, you know, we've got examples of currently taking the Royal Mail through 12 managers through quite a high level CMI course, and they're based all over Scotland. So, you know, that's a really good part of it. You don't have to be geographically in Edinburgh or Lothians anymore. Pace of learning, we take that into consideration, and also we're very flexible with the start dates as well. So I think I've covered about everything, and I hope I've got my point across that we are here to work with you. And we don't tell you what we want, how we want it to be. We want, you know, to hear from you how it's going to work for you, and we'll fit in around that and very much tailor the learning to suit your business needs. Okay, any questions? I'll just click on again. Thank you for listening. I'm going to not walk away. Okay.
I think I would like to invite you maybe to grab a seat, because we're going to move on to the Q&A session. So Carol, if you'd like to grab a seat, and our commercial team here is also here to answer any questions you may have. Sorry, I'm just...
Question time.
Question time. So we arrived at our Q&A session. Do you have any questions about the fund? Maybe you have already some training in mind and you would like to ask about a particular course. Brilliant. So do we have any, have you received any questions?
Yes,
online?
I do have a few questions. I don't know who is the best person to respond, but
Fire them out.
I'll go for it. So one of the questions would be, what is the minimum number of people required for a bespoke course?
Well, that's an interesting one, actually. We have had 4 people on a bespoke course, but that tends to be a bit wasteful of the fund. We always say, you know, we can lay on the training, and it doesn't matter if you've got 4 people or 12 people or 15 people, it's going to cost the same. Unless, you know, if it's an accredited course, then there'd be slightly more, the higher the numbers, because obviously you've got the registration with the awarding body and the time spent for marking. But if it's non-accredited, really, it's, you know, 4, I would say. Anything less than 4 is not really going to work as a course. You know, it becomes a bit awkward.
Sometimes we do one-to-ones on company's request. Sometimes we, for example, recently we delivered Excel advanced training as one-to-one session,
it has happened,
or coaching sessions.
And
but
also, yes, we've also been involved in delivering 360 feedback. And that, you know, that doesn't matter how many people, you know, because that's very much an individual thing. I don't know if anybody's come across 360 feedback. It's quite a powerful tool that's used within organisations to basically move things on. You know, if things are not working, things are stagnating a bit. So the manager gets 360 feedback from all the reports and their line manager, and we then get that back and we assess it, and then we go and have several coaching sessions with the person to see how we can move them on and work out some sort of plan for them. Mm-hmm. So that's a really powerful tool as well. That can be accessed through the fund. So yeah, that would only be 1 or 2 or 3, just depending on what was required.
Amazing, thank you.
Great. I have another one. What process do you follow to identify a suitable tutor once we submit the application form? Because they mentioned that in the past they might not have such a pleasant experience with other providers. So what do we do differently?
Well, that's a good question, and it's always important to get the right tutor for the group and for the organisation. And I have to say, as we've gone through the years of the fund, we tend to associate ourselves with individual companies or certain companies because we start to get to know them really well. We almost feel like we work there sometimes, especially like the Lothian buses. So if that's the case, we would tend to put tutors in front of these sessions that had a lot of experience in working with a group. Where it's a new client, then we would just look to the experience of the tutor, of what they'd done in the past, what type of companies they'd worked with previously, and do the best fit. And what we also would try to do in advance is hook the tutor up with either the manager, the HR manager, L&D, or the actual delegates themselves, just to make sure we've got the right fit.
That's brilliant.
Great. Now I have a few questions for Steve. First question would be if the grant will be available again after July for 2023?
So the funding tends to happen through the college year, so it comes out in August each year and usually runs to July. So we haven't heard back yet from the Scottish Funding Council if there'll be a year 6 of the fund, which would be August 23 through to July 24. Sorry, August 22 through to July 23.
Are we hoping that there will be one? Is there any rumours? Yeah. Good.
Great. And if you could please clarify if £5,000 for the SMEs is the amount granted per company or per person?
So the fund is allocated per organisation. So for levy payers, it's up to £15,000 for that organisation, and for SMEs, it's up to £5,000 for the organisation.
I have quite a few questions online. So how do we know what training would be best for our organisation?
What the team can do at the college is, if people are unsure what training to put together, we can work with an organisation and put together a training needs analysis and link that to how much the organisation wants to spend and what their training priorities are, what their business priorities are, which would then link to their training plans.
Great. Now, a more challenging one. From past experience, public funding has proven to be very hard to get and complicated on how to spend it or manage it. So what is the difference with FWDF?
Thankfully, our experience going back to 2017 is the fund has been very easy to apply for. For the levy payers, it's the form plus the proof of levy. And for the SMEs, it's the form, and you just include your Scottish Company Registration Number. And as long as an organisation's only applied once with one college, and we have the proof there that they're a bona fide organisation, then it's as simple as that. And there's no penalties and no clawbacks. We just work with each employer to make sure that they get the training organised on time.
Great, and just the last one, how do you track the impact of the delivered training?
So we get evaluations for each course, so we collate the information, we collate the feedback, and people within the college, we look at the feedback to make sure that the training we put together was what the client wanted initially.
No further questions for now?
Thank you. Some great questions there. Thank you so much.